Welcome to another episode of Holistic Hive. I'm here to bring you the latest in the wellness world, along with my personal insights. If you're passionate about wellness and looking for tips to nurture your mind, body, and soul, make sure to subscribe and join me every Tuesday. This episode of the Holistic Hive is brought to you by The Wellness Blondie. If you're passionate about natural remedies, holistic wellness, and delicious whole food recipes, head over to the Wellness Blondie blog for inspiring content to nurture your mind, body, and soul. And don't forget to check out my cookbook, Nourish and Thrive, your ultimate guide to embracing a vibrant whole foods lifestyle, packed with over 100 delicious recipes. This cookbook is designed to help you savor every bite while fueling your body with nutrient-rich, wholesome ingredients. Whether you're a seasoned chef or just starting your culinary journey, you'll find a variety of dishes that are both satisfying and simple to prepare. The 28-day meal plan is carefully curated to provide balanced nutrition and flavor, making healthy eating effortless and enjoyable. Alongside the recipes, you'll discover invaluable tips and tricks to seamlessly transition to a whole foods diet. Support your wellness journey and build a sustainable, nourishing habits. Nourish and Thrive empowers you to thrive from the inside out, one meal at a time. It's available now on Amazon. Just type Nourish and Thrive into the search bar or click the link in the show notes. Start nourishing your body and thriving today. All right, now let's kick things off with my current obsession. Lately, I have been absolutely loving debunking the misinformation around toxins and educating others with truthful information, not fear-mongering, so they will buy a certain product. Like the social post I saw the other day stating that Arm & Hammer baking soda is toxic, and to only buy the $4 box of Bob's Red Mill baking soda. Now, I want to get a little technical here, so bear with me. Baking soda, also known as sodium bicarbonate, is a white crystalline powder that is commonly used in baking, cleaning, and various household applications. Chemically, it is a base, so an alkaline compound with the formula NaHCO3. In baking, it acts as a leavening agent when combined with an acid like lemon juice, buttermilk, or vinegar, and moisture. It produces carbon dioxide gas. This gas creates bubbles in the dough or batter, causing it to rise and become light and fluffy. Baking soda is also a mild abrasive and is often used as a cleaning agent around the house. Its alkaline nature allows it to neutralize odors and act as a natural deodorizer. In personal care, baking soda is sometimes used as a toothpaste or exfoliant. In cooking and health remedies, baking soda can help neutralize acidity in certain dishes or even relieve heartburn by balancing stomach acid. However, it is important to use it in moderation because it is quite potent. Now, Arm & Hammer baking soda is not inherently bad. It's a widely used, trusted brand of sodium bicarbonate, and it serves the same functions as any other baking soda. It's commonly used for baking, cleaning, deodorizing, and even personal care. Some people, however, may have concerns based on the source or processing of the certain commercial baking soda brands, preferring products labeled as natural or aluminum free. Though all baking soda is naturally aluminum free, this confusion usually stems from mixing up baking soda versus baking powder, which may contain aluminum. For most applications, including food, Arm & Hammer baking soda is perfectly safe and effective. So is dollar store baking soda or any generic brand name of baking soda. If you are particularly focused on sourcing, you could look for brands labeled as organic or sourced from natural deposits, such as Bob's Red Mill or a Frontier Co-op, but the chemical composition is the same. So it's not really worth the extra cost, especially if you are primarily using it for cleaning. Now, I discovered what toxins were many moons ago and have tried my best to live a low toxin lifestyle. This all started when I started breaking out in rashes and turning bright red when being around anything that was scented and could not wear any makeup. I remember I went with my sister to a Mary Kay party. Now, I only sat there and listened and did not put anything on my body. And when I got home, my mother asked what I did because I was so red and was starting to break out in a rash. I have been very sensitive to artificial ingredients for as long as I can remember. And that is the reason I started this low toxin lifestyle, which grew into limiting the artificial ingredients in foods and household products as well. It is now coming out that we are constantly being overloaded with toxic substances all around us. While you cannot avoid all toxins out there, it is important to not get stuck going down some of the rabbit holes and being controlled by fear. Yes, several toxic materials are in our foods, beauty care, dental care, cleaning products, cookware, and more. But even with all these toxins in almost everything, there are options out there that you can switch to limit your exposure and better your health. You do not need to live in fear, throw out everything in your home, or completely uproot your life. You can start little by little and slowly make changes that are sustainable for you and your family. These changes will help your body do what it does naturally to heal and remove those toxins. Now, if you are just beginning this change, you can find it overwhelming and may even want to join some social groups to help you aid in this change. I did, and found that it ended up being someone fear-mongering me into buying their MLM products and not providing me with real solutions that I could afford. This was no help. So I started doing my own research and sharing it. I have several recipes up on the blog for cleaning, body care, and candle making that you can start with for your home. When it comes to food, it really is simple. Buy whole foods that are real, whether they are organic or not. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store and avoid going down the aisles. Have any of you tried living a low toxin lifestyle? I'd love to hear about your experiences or downfalls and any tips you might have. Take me on social so I can check out your responses. Now let's move on to our news segment for today. I came across an article on American Health and Nutrition, Second Opinion Roundtable, a really interesting topic about how we are in an epidemic from the current practices by the food companies and big pharma. This caught my attention because all the new research coming out is about how ultra-processed foods are causing serious diseases and chronic illnesses at a much younger age. This is not something we are biologically able to process, so we are poisoning ourselves by eating ultra-processed foods. I really wanted to cover this because it is important, even if you find some of the speakers controversial. I do also highly encourage you to follow the link in the show notes to watch the full 4-hour roundtable video. This all began with an article about Robert F. Kennedy that initially seemed a bit woo-woo, but after watching the entire discussion and listening to each speaker on the panel, it turned out to be incredibly insightful. As someone who struggled for years with severe gut dysbiosis, experiencing countless symptoms without any definitive answers from conventional medicine, I had to turn to unconventional methods. Returning to real, whole foods and cutting out ultra-processed foods helped me heal and thrive. The topics covered in this roundtable are definitely worth hearing, even if you don't agree with everything. Now, the article I read was from The Atlantic, titled Woo Woo Meets Mega. And this is where I want to start, because this is what led me to the roundtable video. According to the writer, Kennedy has been angling for a role in Trump's orbit since pulling out of the presidential race. In an article from The Atlantic, Kennedy is quoted as saying, "The U.S. healthcare system is an existential threat to our country. If America fails, the chief reason will be because we let our country get sicker, more depressed, fatter, and more infertile at an increasing rate." Now, I'm not sure if Kennedy's just trying to stay relevant or if he's genuinely continuing the work he's been doing since the 80s. Either way, I do have to give him massive credit for not backing down and always pushing forward to improve both our environment and healthcare. He's made significant changes over the last 40 years, covering a range of issues, from water pollution, nuclear power, and fracking to agricultural practices, especially in large factory farming. He's also been involved in advocating for minorities, internationals, and indigenous rights, and he's known for his controversial stance on vaccines. What is interesting is that behind all of these topics is the environment. No matter what he's fighting for, there's always some connection to protecting the environment, which seems to be the underlying thread in everything he stands for. A Newsweek article mentioned that this issue increasingly starts with our children, according to the National Survey of Children's Health. More than 40% of school-aged children and adolescents have at least one chronic health condition. Parents reported that around 41% of children under the age of 18 had current or lifelong health conditions when asked about 25 different health conditions. President Trump has pledged that if elected, he would establish a panel of top experts working with Kennedy to investigate the decades-long increase in chronic health problems and childhood diseases. But according to NBC, during Trump's previous administration, the EPA, the government's lead regulator of toxic substances, was eager to approve new chemicals and remove regulations on existing ones despite evidence of potential harm. These actions definitely conflict with RFK Jr.'s call for greater oversight. The Trump administration was trying to limit any regulatory action on some extremely toxic chemicals. It's not yet clear what role Kennedy might play in a potential Trump administration or which decisions he would influence as part of the transition team. In his conversation with Carlson, Kennedy suggested that he would expect to be deeply involved in choosing leaders for the Food and Drug Administration, National Institutes of Health, and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. His team didn't respond to questions about whether he might help appoint EPA officials. There's definitely no shortage of information on everything Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has done or stands for. Personally, I think he has good intentions, but the way he comes across can feel a bit like bullying, almost like he's trying to scare people into believing what he believes, kind of like the food babe. And hey, if you're totally aligned with him, that's fine. You do you, boo. That being said, I do think our food system needs serious reform. We're surrounded by so many overly processed foods marketed as healthy when they're anything but. It's all about convenience and greenwashing. When people aren't properly informed, they simply don't know any better. I mean, look at the rise in diseases, especially in younger people. But to play devil's advocate here, can we put all the blame on the food industry? Or should consumers take some responsibility too? It's not like these companies are holding a gun to your heads, forcing us to eat a whole pack of Oreos. Sure, the marketing can suck you in, and the ingredients are designed to make you crave more. Want to know the secret ingredient that hooks you like crack? Refined carbohydrates. They can trigger dopamine levels in your brain just like nicotine or alcohol. So, like quitting smoking or drinking, cutting out ultra-processed foods can be tough, but it is totally possible. Now on to the roundtable. The former Democrat turned presidential candidate headlined a roundtable presentation on Capitol Hill. This event was moderated by Senator Ron Johnson and featured guest speakers like Vani Hari, aka the Food Babe, Biggest Loser's Jillian Michaels, renowned psychologist Jordan B. Peterson, Real Foodology founder Courtney Swan, and more. They all gathered to discuss the rising epidemic of chronic diseases in our country, largely tied to processed foods and farming practices. Some key topics discussed at the roundtable include the presence of microplastics in humans, the dangers of seed oils, pharmaceuticals, the inaccuracies of the food pyramid, and the extensive rates of metabolic dysfunction, such as obesity, cancer, and diabetes. Hari has built an extensive following fueled by legitimate concerns about what's in our overly processed foods, like food dyes and additives. but she's also faced criticism for fear-mongering. When what she shares is definitely something we should be informed about, but her approach can scare too many people, leading them to give up on her message, which is truly unfortunate. Honestly, I used to follow her too, but after a while, I started to feel like nothing was safe to eat, and it became overwhelming. For my own peace of mind and for my family, I had to unfollow and just focus on doing the best that I can without stressing over every little thing. I think she makes some valid points, but the way she presents things can stir up fear, and that's not what I need in my life. I've watched several interviews with Dr. Peterson, and honestly, he makes excellent points while staying calm the entire time. It's impressive to see him counter non-factual arguments with such composure. As a clinical research scientist, he provides some valuable insight here. I really liked his discussion. He gave practical ways for us to do proper research to find the root causes of chronic illnesses merely through diet. Simple, elegant, implementable is what he called it, and it is true. Yes, doing a ketogenic diet may seem restrictive, but as someone who did it for a period of time, I can say that I was rarely hungry, I lost a ton of unhealthy weight, and felt great. Don't confuse a ton of unhealthy weight, meaning I was underweight. I lost a ton of weight, and the excess weight was unhealthy is what I mean. I still to this day make keto meals, but do not follow a strict ketogenic diet anymore, as I wanted to slowly add back in whole, real foods to see what was causing my severe gut dysbiosis and inflammation. And lo and behold, it was the ultra-processed foods. I would love to see more studies conducted in controlled environments on this, as well as on elimination diets, which are often prescribed to help identify the causes of inflammation. It would be valuable to apply the same approach to keto, carnivore, and FODMAP diets to better understand their effects and determine what is truly driving the inflammation. Max Lagarve, I don't know if I said his name right or not, but anyway, asked, if you have a health food section in your grocery store, what is the rest of the grocery store? Which I think is fairly eye-opening question for those questioning their food sources out there. He also stated that an ultra-processed food is something you cannot replicate in your own kitchen. Now, I think this is helpful for those that are trying to change their lifestyles and very confused about the difference between ultra-processed and processed foods. For example, technically cheese is a processed food, yet it's still a whole food. He also stated the more you keep to the perimeter of the grocery store and avoid the aisles, you will be exponentially healthier just by doing that. I love this statement. It does not push only organic. It simply pushes whole foods. Grace Price stated, ultra-processed foods are the new cigarettes for the newest generation. I can see this. As someone who has teenagers in my household, and I cannot control all of their food intake, it is scary that the school lunches are not nutritious for their growing bodies. I can also see a change in my child that has ADHD when they consume ultra-processed foods. I can also see how addicting it is. Just from the complaints that our house does not have ultra-processed foods after they've been exposed to ultra-processed foods. They will complain that they can't have Doritos or cereal in our home, and I will continue to keep teaching them that they will be better satiated and be able to concentrate better at school if they have a nutritious breakfast of eggs, meat, and a whole grain. Next up was Courtney Swan's Real Foodology creator, which I do listen to her podcast. And she has some great guests with a wide range of perspectives. And she's a big advocate for real food and food choice, which I really appreciate. She highlighted that almost all of our foods are being sprayed with glyphosate. Even organic foods are getting sprayed these days. She also brought up that GMO corn was designed to kill the bugs that would eat it so we could produce more to keep up with the demands. The question she brought up is, if the chemical used to make the bug's stomachs get holes and die, how did they not think that this wouldn't potentially affect humans? Linking it to the rise of leaky gut syndrome. Makes you think about it. Last up was Alex Clark. She covered the overuse of birth control and infertility. She focused on reaching parents or parents-to-be about the toxins in all of our foods within our nation that are causing diseases and chronic illnesses, as well as early puberty. Although it seemed as though she was yelling, I do want to look into more about the topic she covered. And I will also be covering about early puberty on the pod in 3 weeks. Now, a comment from the Newsweek article said it well. Without public trust, we can't effectively impact public health. And honestly, the choice is in your hands. You can vote with your dollars. If you're not buying overly processed foods, companies will have to make changes. I'm all for food choice, but I'm a huge advocate for whole, real foods. A bowl or cup of sugar isn't real food, whether it's in the form of Fruit Loops or a can of Mountain Dew. Start educating yourself on the differences between ultra-processed foods and whole, real foods, so you can make informed decisions for your health. It's empowering to take control of what you're putting into your body. It's a step toward feeling better, thinking clearer, and living a healthier life. The more we know, the better we can shape habits that truly support our well-being. With growing awareness of how we consume, of what we consume impacts our health, it's no surprise that demand for healthier options is extending beyond just food. Consumers are not only rethinking what they eat, but also what they drink. As we shift towards prioritizing wellness, the trend of functional beverages, drinks that offer added health benefits, is booming. And manufacturers are taking note and giving us exactly what we're asking for. Beverages designed to support our overall well-being. Or are they? I read an article from Vox that stated consumer demand for drinks that offered added health benefits, known as functional beverages, is booming, and manufacturers are giving us what we demand. Prebiotic sodas are themselves just one of a cascade of those so-called functional beverages that are taking up increasing space in the global drink aisle. Worldwide, the market for these products exceeds 150 billion, say that again, 150 billion, and it's expected to top 200 billion in the next 4 years, with millennials twice as likely to consume them as any other age group in 2023. Wanting our beverages to do more than just quench our thirst isn't a new phenomenon, but the list of wishes we are asking our elixirs to grant is longer and includes more fantasy than ever before. We're asking to not just be woken up or mellowed out. We're asking to have glowier skin, stronger immunity, dreamier sleep, smoother digestion, keener focus, calmer dispositions, brighter moods, and lots more energy. Increasingly, when brands tell us they can sell us these things, we're ready to open up our wallets. Indeed, the science on these beverages is very mixed. Some of the active ingredients have shown promising effects when studied on their own in clinical trials, but that doesn't mean drinking them in a bottled beverage can reproduce those effects. These products are very easy to sell, and people think that they can drink as much of it as they want, whenever they want, especially if they think it is healthy. I can see why this is gaining popularity. I mean, I just discussed the roundtable and needed reform of our food system. But is this really a reform, or is it just a fancy marketing tool to make us think that these things are healthy when they are not? Let's take a quick look at the nutrition of Olipop and Poppy, the better-for-you sodas that are on the market these days. Olipop has 35 calories, 25 milligrams of sodium, 16 grams of carbs, 9 grams of dietary fiber, 2 grams of sugar, 2 grams of added sugar. Poppy has 25 calories, 7 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of dietary fiber, 5 grams of total sugar. The borders between food and medicine have become increasingly blurry, and food producers take notice. In the 1980s, President Ronald Reagan's Food and Drug Administration deregulated the industry, allowing food and beverage manufacturers to slap health claims on their products without any proof or truth. Grocery store shelves were soon flooded with packaging promising all kinds of health benefits. If you did not know this, now you do. Companies are not required to manage your health. They are trying to sell a product to make a profit. When comparing traditional sodas like Pepsi to functional sodas like Olipop and Poppy, it's clear that these better-for-you sodas offer some advantages, but whether they are truly better depends on what you're looking for. Olipop and Poppy have significantly fewer calories compared to Pepsi, making them a better choice for those watching their calorie intake, as Pepsi has 210 calories in a 16-ounce, while Olipop 35 and Poppy coming in at 25. Pepsi is loaded with sugar around 11 grams, which can contribute to weight gain and various health issues like diabetes when consumed in excess. In contrast, Olipop only has 2 grams of sugar, and Poppy has 5 grams, significantly reducing the sugar intake without compromising on taste. One of the big selling points of Olipop and Poppy is their added fiber. Olipop, for example, contains up to 9 grams of dietary fiber, which can help with digestion and support gut health. Traditional sodas like Pepsi have no fiber, making functional sodas potentially a better choice for those looking to improve their gut health. Interestingly, Olipop has more sodium than Pepsi, 25 milligrams versus 9 milligrams. While sodium levels aren't extreme in any of these options, it is something to consider if you're watching your sodium intake. In short, these functional sodas do have health benefits like lower sugar, fewer calories, and added fiber, making them a good alternative if you're trying to cut down on sugar and support your digestion. However, they are still processed beverages, so moderation is key. If you're primarily seeking gut health benefits or reducing sugar, Olipop and Poppy are somewhat better choices compared to traditional sodas like Pepsi. I used to be a huge soda drinker, 6 or more Mountain Dews a day, easily. Now my daily drinks are water, coffee, and tea, and occasionally I will treat myself to a soda here or there, or whip up a mocktail with some juice or tea topped off with some sparkling water. I get why companies are jumping on the better for you bandwagon. They're definitely listening to consumers while still making their profits. But let's be real. At the end of the day, these drinks are still cans of sugar, not that different from juice. If you choose to indulge in these options, just be mindful of how much you're consuming. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, oh, this is good for me, so I can have more. But that can totally backfire. Moderation is still key. After seeing misleading health claims on products like soda and other highly processed items, it's clear that we need to be cautious about what we're consuming. The same goes for eco-friendly and organic products. Many companies engage in greenwashing using buzzwords like natural or organic to make their products seem healthier or more sustainable than they really are. It's crucial to look beyond the labels and educate yourself on the ingredients and packaging to make sure you're making the best choices for your health and the environment. I think it's so important to stay informed about these developments in the wellness world. If you have any thoughts on this topic or have read anything interesting lately, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment below, tag me on socials, shoot me a DM, or send me an email. And now, for the final segment of today's episode, I want to share a quick wellness tip that can make a huge difference in your everyday choices. This week, I'm focusing on how to start reading labels so you can make informed decisions. Begin by checking the ingredient list. If you cannot pronounce or recognize most of the ingredients, it's worth reconsidering. Look for hidden sugars, artificial additives, and preservatives, especially in products claiming to be healthy. Don't just rely on the marketing claims on the front of the package. Dig deeper into the actual contents to ensure you're making the best choices for your health and well-being. Here are some examples of what you might find on the front of product packaging that could mislead consumers, along with what to look for. Sugar content. For example, the front can say a healthy granola bar or low sugar. What to watch for. While the front might boast about being a healthy snack or low in sugar, the ingredient list could reveal multiple types of sugars like high fructose corn syrup, honey, and cane sugar. This can indicate that the product has a higher sugar content than suggested. Artificial ingredients. On the front of the label may say made with real fruit or all natural flavors. What to watch for. Despite claims of containing real fruit or being all natural, the ingredient list might include artificial flavors or colors such as artificial strawberry flavor or red 40 on top of real strawberries. Also, check to ensure that the product uses real fruit or natural flavorings instead. These examples emphasize the importance of looking beyond the marketing claims on the front of the package to ensure that you're making truly informed choices for your health. If you'd like to be featured on the podcast, send me your favorite recipes or wellness tips, and you might hear them in an upcoming episode. I hope you give it a try and enjoy the benefits. If you do, let me know how it pans out or any fun tweaks you make. Don't forget to tag me on socials so I can see your results. That's it for today's episode of Holistic Hive. Hope today's episode sparked some inspiration, brought you some fresh insight, or at least gave you a little boost. Hey, and if you're loving the podcast, why not drop a quick rating and review on your favorite platform? It'd mean the world and help more wellness lovers find us. Your feedback helps more listeners join our wellness journey. Don't forget to follow me on social media for more updates, tips, and behind-the-scenes content. And you can find all the links to my profiles along with more information and resources over on my website. And if you're looking for even more exclusive content, or you just want to support the show, be sure to check out my Patreon page. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week where I cover if meat is the cause of diabetes, some fascinating wellness predictions for 2030, and kids using skincare products. Until next time, keep nourishing your mind, body, and soul, and remember, we're all buzzing through this wellness journey together. Be fabulous, my friends.